I'll bring in on this broadcast Sandeep Punithan as well as Pranay Upadhyay for more details of what we've seen playing out in the last few hours. All the details have now emerged of how this strike happened, Sandeep. But one particular aspect that I'd like to focus on is what the Iranian Foreign Minister said. Araghchi in his statement spoke and highlighted how this particular warship was a part of an exercise in India and so has referred to Dana as an Indian Navy guest. Does that change anything equation-wise? Because the question that's then asked is, if this particular warship was part of an exercise in India, was a guest of the Indian Navy, does that automatically translate to some sort of protection that is expected to get from India?
Not really, Akshita. I mean, the vessel was part of the International Fleet Review that was held in Visakhapatnam and the Milan exercises shortly after that. It was there for about 10 days, 15th February to about 25th February, after which it was returning home. Now, the fact is that when the vessel was underway, the United States had begun attacking Iranian targets. All across Iran, it had begun sinking Iranian ships. So certainly this warship should have known that it was sailing into uncharted territories. The fact that it could be targeted, there is a very big US base not far south of Sri Lanka. And the United States has deployed in full strength. There's an entire carrier strike group there in the Arabian Sea. This is not to fault the ship and the captain, but where exactly was this Iranian ship heading? Was it hoping to cross the Arabian Sea through the US carrier strike group and go into Iran? I mean, the chances of that was extremely fraught with hazard. And this is the kind of passage that the ship seems to have undertaken when it was torpedoed and sunk something like 300 kilometers south of Cape Comorin off the coast of Sri Lanka, some in international waters, Akshita.
So if you see the path that the ship has taken right after the operation in Vizag, it moves almost down this way and then comes right up to right off the coast of Sri Lanka, which is when that attack has taken place. Almost as if America was just, waiting for the right time to hit, because the location of exactly where this particular strike also took place is extremely crucial, Pranay. The other question that's constantly come up is, look, this has happened in India's neighborhood. And we've heard this quite a bit, that this has happened in India's neighborhood. This is alarm bells ringing for India as well. Where exactly did this happen in the Indian Ocean? Is this Indian waters or international waters? Where did this happen, Pranay? And what does that mean, really?
No, definitely not in the Indian territorial waters, neither in India's exclusive economic zone. This incident, in fact, happened in the international waters, not even in the Sri Lankan territorial waters or Sri Lanka's exclusive economic zone. So definitely, like the international seas or the high seas.
Yeah, Pranay, we'll just come back to that point quickly. Yeah. I just want to cut across to the breaking news that's coming in. We can confirm for you that External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has had a conversation with the Iranian Foreign Minister Araghchi this afternoon. No details that have emerged, just a one-line communication from the External Affairs Minister on social media where he says, I had a telecon with the Iranian FM, Syed Abbas Araghchi, this afternoon. But the timing of this is crucial because, like I said, you've had that post from the Iranian Foreign Minister speaking about how this particular warship was a guest of the Indian Navy. But beyond that also, it looks like now, Pranay, the Indian government isn't shying away from having a conversation with the Iranian regime, because not just now have you had that symbolic measure of signing the condolence book, but the External Affairs Minister now speaking to the Iranian Foreign Minister.
Absolutely, Akshita, and if you see in last 6 days, this is the second conversation after the onset of this entire conflict, or rather the Israeli and US strikes on Iran. This is the second instance, second time India's External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar spoke to his Iranian counterpart, and we can again expect another conversation with his Israeli counterpart as well, because we have always maintained that we maintain these ties. India has always taken the side of peace, dialogue, diplomacy. We are not neutral, but we are on the side of peace, and therefore we are urging both the parties to maintain the dialogue and diplomacy. And also, I'm sure External Affairs Minister must have also raised his concern regarding the Indian lives on Iranian soil, because we still have around 9,000 Indians in Iran. We have our own concern about their safe evacuation and as well as their safety and well-being, as we have concern about the safety and security of Indians, those who are residing in GCC GCC countries. You know that Prime Minister Modi spoke to many GCC or Gulf head of states and head of governments. And clearly, in West Asia, if you see that entire theatre of this conflict, India has sizable, around 95 million population of India is there in the region.
Okay, we'll just focus on once again what we were talking about earlier, but we will continue getting you all those news breaks. But bringing the focus back to that particular warship being brought down very, very close to India. There is this theory that Pranay and I were discussing that India also could have done something with what happened, as far as what happened to that Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean. Now, this particular ship, yes, did sink in the Indian Ocean, but was not inside Indian waters. We'll show you that exact location. According to the available details, now that's where, in fact, Dana was placed in the Vizag coast. And then this is what I was referring to. The trajectory taken by that warship moved right up 40 kilometers from a port in Sri Lanka. And we'll highlight that this, if you look at the distance to India there, about 417 kilometers away from the Indian coastline. So it's closer to actually the Sri Lankan port, about 400 kilometers away from the Indian coastline. And we can also confirm for you that particular location. That was the final location where, in fact, you had the strike taking place. You see it slightly closer maybe to India, but nowhere near India's waters. This means that the warship was well outside India's exclusive economic zone as well. It did, however, take place close to Sri Lanka's economic zone, highlighting just how near the conflict has come to the region. And Pranay, what we want to highlight with this, that particular movement of the ship that we see, and yes, we'll again reiterate that it wasn't India's waters, this was in international waters that it happened. There is, however, important messaging here about how this conflict isn't going to be limited to one particular area. It's spreading, and every single target of Iran, essentially for America, is fair game. Close to India, close to any other country.
Absolutely, Akshita. And if you see in last 24 hours or in last 48 hours, the expanse or the circumference of this entire conflict has grown. It has swelled from Arabian Sea. Now it has entered into the Indian Ocean region. If you see from Mediterranean Sea to Indian Ocean region, this involves, I think, the biggest conflict after the Second World War, involving so many countries. Over a dozen countries are affected and involved in this. And in fact, now the theatre of this conflict has gone to international waters as well. If I would like to recall the statement made by the US Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, he clearly said that we are going to hunt down every naval asset of Iran wherever they are, and even if they are in international waters. And, let me make it also clear, and I think Sandeep can add into it, that in international waters, there are many submarines always out on operation and deployment. So we do not know. And, as far as the submarine movement, and especially on such operation, no country is obliged to share information with any other country. We might have our own concern since this incident happened in our neighborhood. But can we do anything in this thing? I don't think so that Indian Navy, even if we would have got to know about this thing, we would have done anything else because this is in international waters.
But is it even possible, Sandeep, is it even possible that any Navy had a heads up of this kind of an attack, that the submarine movement could have been tracked?
No, absolutely not, Akshita. And, that's the nature of submarine warfare, especially fast attack submarines of this kind that the US has deployed in the Indian Ocean. These are extremely secret. The location of submarines are never transmitted. Usually that is something that the US possibly wouldn't share even with its closest allies. So this would have been a submarine that had been deployed on a war patrol and was tracking that warship, the Iranian warship, as it was making its passage through around the Sri Lankan coast and heading back home to Iran. And the submarine would have waited for the opportune time to strike when the warship, the Iris Dana, was in international waters, precisely to avoid the kind of complications that we have been discussing now. I mean, you could think of other possibilities, that what if, for instance, the Iris Dana had actually pulled into an Indian port and was closer to Indian waters, and it had been targeted then. They had fired the torpedoes when it was, say, within our EEZ, which is 200 nautical miles from the coast, or within our territorial waters, that is 12 nautical miles from our coast. But here it seems to have been targeted when it has been targeted in international waters. So there is no ambiguity here. The US has done what it has done to the rest of the Iranian Navy ships in the Arabian Sea. It has torpedoed this one as well. And literally the entire Iranian Navy, most of it is now at the bottom of the Indian Ocean and the Arabian Sea, Akshita.
And that's a huge concern right now for Iran, which is why America continues to maintain that they're winning this war, that they're ensuring that Iran exhausts all of its military assets and so will be brought down in a manner. And you heard from Pete Hegseth yesterday where he said they're all toast. That was the messaging that came in from the US administration.